I don't usually speak much on current events or at least YouTube events. I just, I don't know. I try to keep most of my political things to members only. That way, if you're paying to see, you know, if you're paying for it, then you want to see it. So I'll talk about politics. But in the public eye, I try not to do the whole, political thing very much. Um, and so this could go either way. This could be somewhat political or maybe not. Off the Ranch, Demolition Ranch, both of Matt Carricker's YouTube channels. As you can see, Demolition Ranch is almost at 12 million subscribers. And I mean, you can go back, 5 days ago, 2.6 million views. That's kind of the, I mean, all of these here have a million views or more, or right at least. Very popular YouTube channel. He's clearly made some good money. And then his Off the Ranch channel has 4.45 million and about a million views. Well, maybe not so many here, but you know, he's getting the views for sure. And he's making plenty of money off of those views, which Now you can also see that I haven't watched very many. I watched this one, and I watched the announcement that he's quitting. It's been a while since I've watched any of his videos. I guess I watched a little bit of that one, but yeah, I don't know. I lost interest over the years. He bought these big extravagant properties and was fixing them up and doing all sorts of different things, and yeah, I don't know. That's just I lost interest. I've got a lot of people to watch, and I started not watching the ones that I didn't really care to watch. No offense. But the topic that I want to talk about is, well, what you just seen, the end. He has decided to quit YouTube entirely. And we could talk about a couple of different things here. Let's see if I can turn this on without, yeah, there's no audio. The thing is, he says that his kids have, I think he said 5 to 8 years left in his house, and then they'll be moving out, and he wants to spend more time with them. That's why he's quitting YouTube. But we could really analyze this and kind of break it down. In his video, he said that, the reason he was quitting is because he wanted to spend more time with his kids. In my opinion, a YouTube job is one of the easiest jobs. Yes, it's work. It's hard work of, filming and editing and making sure it gets up and actually looks good. And a lot of his is production style stuff. So he does a lot of the, making sure it looks good. I get that. But say you make a video once a week, which is overkill, by the way. I mean, you really don't need to do once a week. It looks like he was doing several a week, I guess. But yeah. Well, maybe not, because then you back down here in 2 weeks. I guess he did 3. Well, see, and the thing is, this don't break down weeks. This just says a month ago. So then you could say, well, how many is he doing a month? 4, 8, 7 a month. That's pretty decent. The thing is, you start saying, well, what does it really take to make a video? He could video throughout the day, whatever he's doing, whatever he wants to do, whatever he wants to video about. It doesn't really have to be that important, and then come back and edit for 3 or 4 hours per video and make it, what he's doing. So do you count the videoing throughout the day because, you're kind of doing it because you want to, I guess, but at the same time, I don't know. That's up in the air, I guess. The editing is really 3 to 4 hours. The amount of time that you've invested in actually making YouTube videos is a lot lower than, say, working a 9 to 5 job every day. This one, honestly, he could have just walked away from one channel and said, well, we're tired of the big production, so we're just going to call it done. Looks like he's done 2 videos a month. Yeah, 2 videos a month. So really the amount of input that he's had to put into this channel, we're talking probably 6 to 12 hours total per month. I mean, that's just my estimation based on, how long does it take to actually film a video and then get it edited and posted. I'd say 6 to 12 hours, 6 hours of video per month that he's putting into actually keeping this channel active. And if that's a thing, the only difference is this channel, you're actually putting the work in to make these videos, and that's what they're for. Like, you're having to set aside an entire day that I'm going to go film this video for this channel. Whereas on this channel, it's more like, oh, this is my daily life. This is what I'm doing today. Here's a camera. I don't feel like there's as much involvement with this one that, yeah, you're posting way more often, but you're not setting aside your entire day to go film. You're actually, just doing what you would normally do, and there just happens to be a camera. So anyway, YouTubers don't make it big on YouTube alone. They do other things, like Bunker Branding is what he created. It's a clothing company. They make different clothing and sell it and whatever. And he's partnered with other YouTubers like Smile More, and they all work under the Bunker Branding roof. So there's just tons of money in it to do that too. I'm kind of all over the place with this, and I'm trying to give some information before I start going into my opinion, and I think that's where I'm getting lost here. So, he's made a lot of money, and he probably will continue to make a lot of money, because it's my understanding Bunker Branding is still staying. He's just not doing YouTube. The thing is, he's a popular YouTuber, and what he's got going on here is mainly because of YouTube. Bunker Branding would not be this huge, successful clothing company had he not been on YouTube to begin with. It's his following that came to Bunker Branding that said, hey, we want to do this or whatever. We want to buy your merch. He would not sell anywhere near as much merch had he not been on YouTube. Which I guess begs the question of, would he be as rich as he is, I guess. The thing, here's what I'm thinking of, and I'm having thoughts as I talk that are bringing new ideas to mind. Could he be announcing this quitting or actually truly quitting in order to try to boost sales? Because, let's be honest here. These videos, 360, 500, views, 300K, 400K, 500K. So really nothing over 500 here. And you go to his last video and 1 million views. Yeah, okay, because it's his last video. The whole thing of I'm quitting, I'm never coming back. Like, is this a ploy to get more views, more business out of it? Is he going to sell more merch because he's no longer doing YouTube now? And the thing is, that may help for a little while. That may really boost his wallet for a little while. But at the end of the day, this is going to fall off fairly quickly if he's not continuing to post on YouTube, not continuing to be relevant. So I don't know. Anyway, let me get to what I was originally going to talk about. He's quitting YouTube, and we don't really know why. The reason he gave was that his kids will be moving out in the next few years, and he wants to spend all the time he can with them. But in his video here, he talked about what's next for him, and he said that he may go back to doing veterinary because he's a veterinarian. And then that really grabbed my attention, because it's like, with YouTube, with his main YouTube channel, Demolition Ranch, like I say, I estimate he probably puts about 12 hours a month into it. This one, probably a little more. I don't know if you would count the filming so much, but you might count the editing. And so if he's doing, say, 4 videos a month or maybe more, he's probably getting, probably close to 20 hours just of editing, putting videos up. And if that's the problem, he honestly could step down and do a video a month and still do perfectly fine. He would still be on YouTube. He would still be very relevant to the audience. He would still make tons of money on his merch. Maybe even more for a longer amount of time, just because he's not as open on YouTube anymore, and people want to get more of that. They want to see more of him, so they may spend more money on his merch instead. So the whole argument of, I want to spend more time with my kids, you're quitting literally the best job you could have, and talking about going back into veterinarian, which would be an 8 to 10 hour job every day, 5 days a week, unless you did overtime. Doing that would literally pull you away from your children more than your current job. And one may argue, well, he's making, 10 videos a week or whatever, I don't know, across all channels. He could slow down massively. The biggest audience is Demolition Ranch, but he could quit that. He's already quit anyway, so he could quit that entirely. He's doing this abandoned resort. He did an abandoned mansion series. Whatever. He bought this big property with 6 homes on it that are used as Airbnbs, and he built a campground on it, and he's done all this stuff. Now, I do want to say that he has that property listed for sale as well, because he said he wants to focus more on whatever, his kids, I guess. If you go look at that property, he bought it like 8 years ago for under $500,000, and he now has it listed for $15 million. I don't think he's done $14.5 million worth of improvements to this property. I think that the only reason it's as popular as it is today is because he is who he is and his presence on YouTube. I think that if it sold, that demand would drop off massively, because he doesn't even own it anymore. What would anybody want to go there for? I think the biggest part of the people going to that property today is because he owns it. And any potential buyer would be making a huge mistake buying that property. Even if he keeps the property, like I say, his presence on YouTube no longer being there will probably eventually make the popularity of that property die off. Eventually. There will still be some super fans that will still go, and that'll be their new yearly tradition to go to Matt's property. But I don't think the popularity is going to stay nearly as much as it is now, just because of this quitting. So we've analyzed the reason why he says he's going to quit, and how none of that makes any sense at all. And ultimately, I don't think that's why he's quitting. I think there's something going on deeper. If you look back a couple of months ago when Trump was running for president and the attempted assassination happened, the shooter was wearing a shirt from Demolition Ranch, and you could tell Matt was very distraught by this. This was a huge deal. He did not want to be involved in this in any way, obviously. He was just, and the thing is, Matt has always been really good about keeping his opinion of politics out. No one knows if he leans right or left. And he, in this video, did a very good job at keeping that as secretive as he possibly could, while also trying not to associate with the shooter or Trump, basically. I think this was the turning point. That's my opinion. I don't know. It may or may not have been the actual turning point, and it may never come out if this was the turning point, but I honestly think this was it. I think Matt was at an all-time high in his life. making plenty of money off of YouTube, plenty of money off of bunker branding, even more money off of this new resort that he was building and about to open up. I think at the time it wasn't open. He was doing well. And he's seen his name and his picture all over the news in relation to an attempted assassination of a former president and now the current president. And he did not want that ever. And I think that was the turning point. I think that's what basically turned him away from all of this. I quit watching his YouTube a while back, and I feel like that's where the decline started. That's where it started to just kind of get not as good. Here's the video where he talked about it 8 months ago. And then, things just kind of seemed like they were going downhill. So we could go back 8 months here, and you can kind of see, yeah, they did their abandoned house, which they now live in. They bought an abandoned house and fixed it up and live in it. And he probably made a lot of money off those videos. He also spent a lot of money making those videos, fixing that house up, because it was gutted. But and that became a new thing. They started doing Airbnbs and all that. I don't know. That's my opinion. I think that's what happened. That being associated with something like that and having his picture on the news, I think that was really the turning point in his career. And ultimately, I think that had a lot to do with why he quit. I don't think the excuse of wanting to spend time with his kids is real. I don't think that's it at all. If he truly wanted to spend less time on YouTube, he could have done that and still maintained his YouTube, and still maintained the money that he makes like now. Because eventually this is all going to dry up. When you're not posting new content, you're not getting your name out there, you're not being relevant to what's current. All your content eventually dries up and you stop getting views. And when they stop viewing, no one's going to know about bunker branding. They're not going to buy your merch. And, maybe he's got other profits coming in from there, doing Smile More and all other stuff. I don't know, but he will take a huge financial hit from this decision. And then if he chooses to go back into veterinary, he's going to have even less time. And I think that's just the reality of it. So I don't know, there's probably other reasons. There's probably other things going on that the public doesn't see and know about. But I kind of wonder if that ultimately is what happened. Maybe he started receiving death threats because of his supposed involvement in this, even though he wasn't involved in any way. I don't know. I don't know what that could have been, but I think that this is what ultimately led to him leaving YouTube. That's just my speculation. It may not be true at all, but I felt like it was something worth talking about. It's a current event of what's going on, and hate to see him go, but honestly, if that's what he wants to do, then there's nothing anyone can do to change that.